What is up, everybody? This is the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and we have another Unapologetic Friday. This episode is going to be a little bit weird because I'm recording it late, and therefore you might hear my daughter upstairs. She had shots today, so she is rather cranky, and I don't think she's napped yet. So recording this 3 o'clock on a Friday without a nap. Yeah, so I apologize if you hear that in the background because, as I always do on Fridays, there's no editing, so I don't have the fancy sound things to cut out the background noise with this episode because I literally just record it and publish. But this is episode 85 episodes in, so we have 15 more before we hit our 100th episode, which is wild that we're almost there to 100 episodes and only a few months away from the 1-year anniversary. But with that being said, let's get into this episode. So I'm going to set that timer while we are leaving for the farmer's market soon. And I also have to finish my food plot, check out the garden, and then it's also my mother-in-law's birthday dinner. So there's a lot of things happening right after I get this published. So let's fucking do it. Today's topic, actually, before we get into it, I set the timer, so fuck it. We're just going with it. So reminder that PwC is merging with Lifts with Alex coaching. So if you haven't listened to past episodes, this is your first episode ever. Peak Wellness Coaching was the business I was running, and now I am merging with Alex Allen's business. So down in the show notes, you're going to see her Facebook group, not the Peak Weight Loss Facebook group. My old group is also merging, so make sure you go and join her Facebook group. And you can follow her as well at the Alex Allen on Instagram. And you're also going to find my social media handles down below as well if you don't follow me yet. So just that little caveat. We do have something coming out. She posted it today. So we do have a 10-day challenge starting on October 1st. So I think I can get the link. I'm going to double check after this episode. Actually, no, I think that's in the Facebook group. So the link to join that is going to be in the Facebook group. So join the Lifts with Alex Facebook group and you will be able to join the challenge for free. So 10-day mindset challenge. And that goes into today's topic, which is self-sabotage. Something I dealt with a lot. Everybody deals with it. So I've dealt with this a lot myself. I've really fucked up a lot of my goals with self-sabotage and just not being aware. And awareness is the most important thing when it comes to overcoming self-sabotage. And if you're not really aware what it is, self-sabotage is when you're starting to get to a goal, you're either trying to start something new and something pops up and you're like, nope, can't do it for whatever reason, or you're just about at that goal and you just don't cross that finish line for whatever reason. You're right there. I see this a lot when it comes to weight loss goals. There's something, so it's not like we hit these magic marks, like the 200-pound mark. We see this very often with the 150-pound mark, going below the two, certain incremental areas or getting close to your specific goal. But a lot of times it's that 200-pound mark, someone's trying to get below 200 pounds. My goal is 160 and they're 220. And when we get to 200, they hit a plateau. And that's due to self-sabotage. And that can be believing you're not deserving, that you can't do it, and your brain's fighting back. So you probably experienced this yourself in some facet of your life. So I've dealt with a few. So I just want to go over some of them. So there's a lot of different kinds of self-sabotage. And that's one of the issues when it comes to talking about it is I'm not the best expert on it. So I'm just going to say that I'm really not. What I am is I can tell you a little bit more of my story and what I've seen and how to overcome some of those things. And today's going to be more identifying rather than overcoming, because we just do not have the time to go into one of these. We do have the time on a Monday podcast. So if you want, actually, I think this upcoming Monday is going to be another solo episode this upcoming Monday. So if you want, we can do an episode on that. But we're going to go over five different common ones. So one of them is fear of failure. This is one I've dealt with a lot. And basically this is you stop yourself from starting something because you fear failing, which, failure doesn't feel good. But someone with the self-sabotage type mentality will be in like, I'm not going to even start because I'm too scared of failing that I don't even try. Not realizing that not trying at all is failure in and of itself. So failure, this person in their mind, failing and learning a lesson is the same as failing altogether. So for whatever reason, there's my daughter, for whatever reason, you're just not going to try whatsoever. And then you never reach your goal because you're so scared of failing. You never even try. But again, as I already said, by not trying, you fail automatically because you're not reaching your goal. So you fail at reaching this goal you have. So fear of failure is that. It's one I've dealt with. I'll try to hide behind like, oh, I need more education. I need this, rather than just taking fucking action. So for someone, if this is you, your thing, and it ties in, there's going to be a lot of like overlap in these. Take action. Just like take action towards your goal. Start doing something. And if you fail, you're going to learn something. And chances are, like, so many people have, like, the best teacher is failure a lot of times. So many people have to go through a couple failures before you really learn. Or if you want to avoid it altogether, as I've said many times, hire a mentor. But you're still going to mess up and fail on a couple things. When it comes to business, I've had quite a few things that have totally flopped. This is an amazing idea of flops. Like, that's going to happen. And what you do is you're like, okay, you know what? That's not a big deal. Why? You just ask yourself, like, why didn't it work? Maybe it's a diet or exercise program. Like, oh, I should be really strong after this workout program, and you're not. You're like, why? Why didn't that work? And then you go and figure that out. And then you're like, going into the future, I won't do that. I know that doesn't work. So that's that one. The next one's going to be justification. Justification is justifying why you haven't reached your goal. Justifying why. But this is always coming from emotion. So justification, this one's difficult for me to explain. But basically, you don't measure outcomes. You always justify, like, I'm too busy. It's not the right time. I don't have enough money. But you don't actually, like, sit down and have the numbers, or I haven't reached my goals because of blah, 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 blah. Or one day I'll get there. If I just, like, focus, I'll get there. So justification is one that I've had. And if you're someone who deals with justification, what you need to do is sit down and have the hard, cold numbers in front of you. You need to measure outcomes rather than just like feelings. I think that's how you phrase it. But you have to, like, you reach your goals by measuring the outcomes and taking action towards your goals rather than or a great example is like, I eat healthy. Why am I not losing weight? Well, how many calories? I don't track calories. Okay, what's your portion control? I eat healthy, so it's definitely not my diet. Really? Because I saw you eat a half bag of nuts, and that's, 1,500 calories there. So justification is that you justify not reaching your goals by saying, I eat healthy. See, I just can't lose weight. I work really hard, but my boss is X, Y, and Z, therefore I don't get promotion. So you justify everything rather than like diving in and be like, I can't lose weight because even though I eat well, I am still overeating in calories, or I'm not hitting my protein goal, or I'm not getting enough workouts, and I'm only working out once per week, and it's iffy if that. Okay, so let's get the cold hard numbers in front of you. Numbers don't always lie unless it's a scale, and then in which case sometimes it lies. But we want numbers in front of us so we can have data, and that data dictates how we move forward with our actions. Like, okay, I feel like this social media post, let's say you're into social media and growing a following, I think this social media post will do good. I don't know why I'm not growing. My social media posts are good. And the person I follow who is a social media expert, Enrico Rico? Sorry, bud, if I butcher your last name, but he's fantastic when it comes to, like, for when I, like, self-analyze my social media. It's like, it's not that the information's bad, it's just you're boring. Wait, what? Like, yeah, your information's fine, you're just boring. That's why you're not growing. Like, shit. Okay. Nobody's watching you because you're boring. So it's just fine. Like, hey, yeah, it might be a good idea. Maybe you do have some justification, but it's still not good enough. Get the numbers in front of you. So look at the numbers. Ask yourself why you are or are not moving forward with your goal. The next one is going to be perfectionism. And those of you who are straight A students, a lot of times will have this one. So perfectionism is not taking action towards something unless it is perfect. So the best example of this is you don't hand in a paper because it's not perfect. It's only like a C grade instead of an A grade. So you take the F because you will only hand in an A plus paper, but you still fail the class because you only handed in half your papers and you got A's and F's, and that ended up with like a 50%, which is an F. So perfectionism will hold you back. The best thing I've heard with perfectionism is done is better than perfect. Okay, at the end of the day, you should be proud of your work. You should, do things to the best of your ability, but doing anything at all is better than doing nothing at all. Like, take some sort of action. If you have a goal, doing something to move forward with your goal. Just waiting like, oh, I will wait to work on my health when it's a better time. Like, you can work, you're eating 3 times a day as is, right? Maybe you're eating twice a day. Well, maybe we bump it up to 3 times per day. It's as simple as that. Maybe we just try to eat more veggies. You're already eating 3 times per day. You can't get to the gym. You're doing walks with your dog twice per day. Maybe we just make the walks a little bit longer. Or you're already drinking water. Maybe we just focus on your water goal. You can do something to move forward with the goal. Maybe you need to cut back on alcohol a little bit. So instead of 3 glasses of wine per night, maybe you cut back to 2. Maybe you cut back to 1. Maybe it's you try to avoid drinking at all on the weekdays and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday only. There's something you can do. Is it perfect? No, it's not. Cut out alcohol, get to the gym 6 days a week, perfect macros, perfect hydration, perfect sleep. But if you're waiting for a time when you can do that, that person who is doing all the other things imperfectly is lapping you left and right. They are going to be that transformation story you see a year from now. And you're like, man, I wish I could be them. And it's like, you could. You just need to start taking action now. Work on something. Identify the easiest fucking thing you can do to move the needle forward. Fucking water. Eating more protein, eating more veggies. It doesn't need to be tracking macros. That's not the easiest thing. Now, tracking macros is not easy. It works. I'm not saying it's easy. But just adding more protein into meals is easy. Oh, okay. So you do, or switching out maybe instead of fattier proteins, you switch to leaner. So all your ground meat, you switch from 85-15 to 93-7. Turkey, beef, etc. All that switches. That's a simple swap. In fact, you're going to keep the recipes exactly the same. So you do spaghetti and meatballs every single week. You do Taco Tuesday every single week, swapping that 85-15 for that 93-7 ground meat. Easy. That's a big change there. That's going to cut out a ton of calories. Next one is going to be pride. And I see this a lot with particularly in like the hunting world, because a lot of people are like DIYers. There's a lot of pride of like lifting yourself up by your bootstraps. So I'll see this a lot of when I'm talking to potential clients. They're like, I want to do it on my own, and there's nothing wrong with doing it on your own. Let me just say that. But if you have a history of not being able to do it on your own, you don't probably need any new information. If you're listening to this podcast and you go back, you don't really need anything new. I think you can go back to like what I said with fear of failure and perfectionism. Like, you just need to take action. So if you're just stopping yourself like, oh, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. But you fail time after time again. Pride of like, I want to do it on my own is just holding you back. You see this when people get challenged with ideas, like new information comes out. And I used to have this when it came to some nutrition information of like, nope, this is what I believe. I'm not changing my stance. I changed my stance on it. So pride will hold you back and ultimately hurt you. There's nothing wrong with having some pride in yourself, but realize when it's holding you back. And today is self-sabotage, so pride will self-sabotage you. Again, I see this a lot when people just want to, I'm just going to try this on my own. Or they have their husbands who are prideful, because usually this is wives, then going and talking with a husband, or girlfriends talking to their boyfriend. They're like, you should do it on your own instead of hiring a mentor. Like, just get the mentor. There's nothing wrong. It's not going to destroy your pride. In fact, you're going to reach at the end of the day, like, the only one having any pride is you. The outside world doesn't care whether you had a mentor, a coach, a teacher, etc. It's, did you do it or not? Did you reach the goal or not? It's a yes or no. So pride will do that. It will hold you back. I see it a lot. And as soon as it pops up, it's like, okay, well, or when we try to dig deep with goals and people are like, nope, I'm good. I'm perfect. Like, no, we all have our issues. We all have shit. I literally share, like, I've had fear, failure, justification. I've definitely had pride. And then the last one we're going to talk about is uprooting, which I've also dealt with some. And there's like 12 of these. Oh, there's the timer. So we're going to wrap this guy up. So uprooting is as soon as you get started, you get bored and you move on to another thing. And you're just trying to chase the shiny object syndrome. You're looking for the new magic bullet, the new diet pill, the new diet. You're jumping from one thing to another. You can't stay interested. And that is uprooting. It's the grass is greener on the other side. It's a form of self-sabotage because a lot of times you're getting results or you tried something in the past that worked, but you don't want to go back to something that you know worked and was sustainable. I'm going to put that caveat. Don't go and do Optavia because it's not sustainable, or Optavia, however the fuck you say it. You know something has worked and been sustainable, like tracking macros. It doesn't mess with your mental health, and you know it works really well, but you're still chasing like, oh, what about keto? What about this new diet that came out? What about it's like, why are you looking for something new? Or the same thing with workouts. Like we know like regular strength training and low intensity cardio works really well for most people. So why the fuck are you just chasing like, what's the new workout thing? What's the new this new? I get it. I was there too. There's a difference between being new to something and everything's exciting and uprooting. And everything exciting and new is different because you're an open book versus uprooting. You're like hopping from one thing to another and just like chasing something new. And every time you do that, you can't make progress because you're always just starting something new, and startup is slow and arduous. And a lot of times you go backwards a little bit. You have to take one step back before you move 2 steps forward. Well, you're always just taking one step back because as soon as you start to move forward, you jump to something else, and then you jump to something else. So that is uprooting. And there's a bunch more of these that I'm not going to talk to today, but you can send me a message if you want to hear more about this. Anyways, that's today's podcast, guys. Hopefully this has helped you in some way. If you want to learn more, the book The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest, however you say the last name. Wiest is the last name. Great book. Goes over a bunch of these and how to deal with emotions and stuff. Self-sabotage is something everyone deals with, so you're not alone in that. I deal with it myself. The whole Lifts with Alex team deals with it in some capacity, but we've learned to kind of work around it. So, for example, my fear of failure, I know it's an irrational fear of failure, and instead, no, I just need to take action. So it's something I deal with almost on a daily basis, especially during this merge right now. I have a lot of like, am I good enough? I'm definitely not good enough for this. I'm out of my league. And it's like, no, just do the fucking work, take action, and everything will be fine. Not doing anything will prove to you that you are not good enough. It's like, oh yeah, so I should just take action on something and get it done. But that's it today, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Again, if you are not part of the Lifts with Alex Facebook group, go down to the show notes below and join that group, especially if you want to be part of the 10-day challenge coming up. And with that being said, I'm also going to be changing my Instagram and TikTok handles. So if you guys have a good name for me, send me a message because it's Chris_PWC. That's going to be changing because it's no longer going to be Peak Wellness Coaching. So I need a new name. Anyways, if you have an idea for me, send me a message. Because I'm terrible when it comes to new names, and I don't want to change it to Chris_LWA. Like, I don't love Chris_PWC. I'm just not good at names, so I'd rather switch it to something that's better. But I'm just not sure what it is yet. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and check out the show notes down below. I'm gonna stop. I need to get going. I'm gonna stop now. See you guys on Monday.